DEBx, amplifying voices, accelerating change.
Please help me welcome to the stage Diana Cale Kennedy.
They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom. William Wallace, Braveheart. 4 years ago this week, my mother was taken into hospital under emergency conditions. Her spleen had ruptured, and a tumor had taken over one of her kidneys. The diagnosis was renal cancer, and the situation was dire. Flying back to Scotland, unsure she would make it through the night, I was faced with flashbacks, moments of extreme clarity and overwhelming gratitude for the gifts that she and my dad had given me. My talk tonight is a tribute to their legacy of love, their fierceness for freedom, and their courage to live life on their terms. It's a celebration of my mother's survival. Today, 4 years later, her spark of aliveness is strong and bright. I was born in a small house in a small village on the west coast of Scotland, the birthplace of Robert Burns, the rebel poet, and William Wallace, the freedom fighter featured in the movie Braveheart. On these lands, the people are fierce, like the weather, poetic, like the landscape, and colorful, like their whiskey. These are folks that would rather punch you in the nose and buy you a drink to resolve your differences, instead of talking it out, or sing you a song, rather than say, I love you. They had to fight for their right to be free, and as they like to say, they're the ones that kept the Romans out when few others could, and sent the English home again and again and again. They valued personal freedom. They still value personal freedom above all else. They believe that no man or woman gives up their right to be free except with life itself. I was raised under this banner of freedom within a parenting model designed to discover just how much I could handle. My mom and dad, Robert and Eleanor, as I've been calling them since I was 15, were fierce about freedom, living life on their terms. Entrepreneurs by nature, incredible singers by birth, passionate partners for life, 63 years married this year. Their own sense of freedom had been constrained just enough when they were young to ensure mine never would be. When other parents were telling their kids what to do and how to do it, who to be and what to believe, my parents were teaching me how to self-navigate life, how to form my own opinions, how to make my own decisions, trusting the outcomes would speak loudly enough to reveal any gaps in judgment and necessary shifts in perspective. They taught me how to use my common sense, how to keep my wits about me in each and every situation, how to increase my capacity to be present, to stay safe, and to optimize my experience of being alive. They encouraged me to lean into joy and to live a life I love, to follow what they called my spark of aliveness, that which lights and ignites a fire in me, inspires passion and enthusiasm for living, to follow that wherever it leads, even if it led me away from them, and it did. From the age of 15, I accepted opportunities to live and work abroad, sometimes for the summer, more often longer, until at age 24, I settled in the US. Trusting my spark of aliveness to guide me reassured my parents that the decisions I was making were the right ones for me. They were unconditionally supportive. And yet, a few years later, I found out that they cried for a month with the realization that Scotland was no longer my home. As I say this now, I realize how brave they were as parents to love me so fiercely and yet give me the wings to fly. It's no accident I look for this capacity in leaders. As a leadership development coach and consultant, I educate or offer education in mastering uniqueness, cultivating bravery in business by growing greatness in people, and how to use common sense as the basis of all intelligence and fulfillment. I can see why they parented this way, given who they are as human beings, but how they did it still fascinates me. What I share with you now is their triumphantly simple parenting model. I invite you to consider its relevance and value from the perspective of being a parent and also through the lens of leadership. Their model had 4 simple rules and reminders. Darling, just be yourself, whatever that means to you. And remember, knowing who you're not is valuable to knowing who you are. Darling, do what you love, whatever that means to you. And remember, doing what you love is not always comfortable or easy. Be a good person, whatever that means to you. And remember, nobody is better than anybody else. And their crowning glory that brought everything else to bear. Darling, follow your spark of aliveness, wherever it leads. Follow that which lights and ignites a fire in you, inspires passion and enthusiasm for living. That which creates a fire in your belly and a sparkle in your eye, they would say. Kind of like trusting your gut while following your heart, even if it doesn't make sense to your mind in the moment. In an everyday way, they would say and ask, darling, your spark's a wee bit low. Are you sure you want to be hanging out with that boy Johnny? Darling, your spark's a wee bit low. Are you sure you want to be working on that math project right now? It's almost midnight. Darling, your spark's a wee bit low. Are you sure you want to continue with ballet? Or would you prefer jazz or modern or salsa dance? What they were really saying was, stop, pay attention, check in. There's something off with your vitality, your aliveness, your sparkle. Sense if it's momentary or if there's something real that needs to change. The answers are not out here with us. They're in there with you. Trust yourself. What they were suggesting, and it's what I'm suggesting now, is that we all have this spark of aliveness in us, a guiding light that we can follow and trust. Even if it's been dimmed, the pilot light is still on, and it can be turned up in any area of our life, in any moment that we choose. Now, if by chance you're thinking this all sounds a little magical, you would be right. Following your spark of aliveness has a practical kind of magic in it. Like the Celtic culture synthesis of the mystical and the mundane, fierceness and fairies, survival and standing stones. Your spark of aliveness is both peaceful and productive, creative and profitable. Monitoring the condition of my spark and allowing its truth to lead me has been the most effective personal and professional practice I have had. The practice that has been good for my health and my bottom line. A recent article in Inc. magazine quotes entrepreneurial icons like Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, crediting their intuition in all its forms as one of the most significant ingredients of their success. And they use words like trust your gut, follow your heart, listen to your creative inner voice. Even use phrases like pay attention to your sense of destiny. My parents would add to that list, follow your spark of aliveness, wherever it leads. Now to your spark of aliveness. How often do you pay attention to that which moves you deeply, inspires you the most, brings you alive, even if it's a little scary, like for me, being on this DEBx stage? I invite you to find it, face it, and follow it, wherever it leads. And if you notice there are areas of your life where your spark's a wee bit low, remember, the pilot light's still on. I invite you to turn it up. Restore the fire in your belly and the sparkle in your eye. My parents gave me this simple and sacred gift, and now I offer it to you. May your spark of aliveness burn bright and strong. May it light your path, and may it give you the wings to fly. Thank you so much, everybody.